Welcome back to the Meta Lighthouse channel. Sara and Jay with you today, and we're going to be talking about dispelling the myths of the Illuminati. I know we mentioned that a few times in the last video, or the last few videos, and finally this is about the Illuminati. So I know most people out there think that the Illuminati is evil and their intentions are to control the world, a new world order, and that it's all about, it's all evil. So we want to dispel that myth and just have a conversation about it.
Yeah, just a conversation. I mean, and we're coming from a place of what we've seen, firsthand with various situations.
Yeah, and being in the Vril Society, we do have, inside knowledge of these things and our contact experience and the telepathy that we get. So we have a greater understanding than most people. So we just want to share that with you guys.
And working with a team just because of what we're involved with, you're going to be brushing up against other families and other secret societies.
Yes.
And not all of them are on the same accord.
Right.
They don't see eye to eye necessarily in all things.
So let's first talk about what the word Illuminati means.
Yeah.
Illuminati means illuminated ones. And what does it mean to be illuminated? It means that you are neutral, you're a beacon of light, you're all about being in service to humanity, and you have a loving, empathic attitude towards people and all living things. And that's, the quality of the children of light or the family of light.
Right. Good point. The children of light and the family of light, and how their light and their illumination was to shine into darkness. It was taking not just esoterical, but higher dimensional information and knowledge and technologies from another space and time and implicating it into the material plane to help illuminate so people could do better and evolve with teachings.
And know who they are and know why you're here. And we of course have our 8-step program, which is Know Thyself, 8 Steps to Illumination. And it starts with awareness of who you are, who we are as a species, and really knowing, your mind, body, and spirit, that we truly are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And understanding what this earth plane is all about, what the human experiment is all about, and really having compassion for one another. That's what it's all about, to shed light and be illuminated.
But we need to shed light too on the materialism, third dimensional construct of what the so-called Illuminati is, because even know thyself, when we talk about that, that's a very important hidden knowledge that's given to individuals, right? But when you look out into the world, you hear know thyself, it's evil. Like they attach a lot of, they twist there's 2 branches of light, right? There's the illuminated ones that we're talking about that bring in goodness, the true Illuminati. And then there's this third dimensional construct of, again, we talked about Hitler in our last thing, where he acquired knowledge and used that knowledge for his own purposes. It's the same thing with Illuminati. The very fact that they use that name is a disservice or a mimic or a slant on where it comes from.
Well, I'm glad you brought up mimic, because the false Illuminati is sort of like the Antichrist or Satan. It's a mimic of what's true and real and right. And if you go back to Atlantis, there were 2 groups, right? The Emilius group was all about shedding light and creating, humanity, it to be, as a reflection, as above, so below.
Right.
And to come into that love all, serve all. And then there was this dark group, the Belial group, who mimicked the light, but then they were creating people to be slaves. So it's a slave system, and it goes back, thousands of years, of course. So,
and it is a mimic because the dark illuminists, the ones that take even the very word and bastardize it into their own systems, they use a control system and they use their third dimensional construct of money usually. So like you would have, say, a talented person born with a gift to sing, and that gift is to help with frequency and heal people.
Yes.
And they might walk through a certain door or into a certain construct where now there's money being used coming from a place to control how that talent is going to be fostered, and therefore denotes the true origin of why that person can even sing so good. It's like,
so that's a form of illumination, that ability, that God-given gift or goddess-given gift to sing or produce something beautiful, right? So that is to shed light and to help others illuminate too. But what you're saying is the false Illuminati, or what people think are the Illuminati, are taking that gift, twisting it, and using it for selfish purposes, for their own greed.
For their own greed, and to control the other masses through a frequency, and only allow it, and when it steps out of line, it falls out of grace. So you see these tales of people that are caught up in circumstance with certain individuals that are mimicking the true light. Yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it's very real.
I think it takes a lot of explanation, really, because it's so convoluted and it's been so many years in the making, right? So I think to understand the Illuminati is to really understand the difference between dark and light.
True.
So the true Illuminati is about shedding light and helping people learn, love, and grow and evolve.
Right.
So the so-called Illuminati that's in the world is mimicking the true Illuminati. So we should talk about how to tell the difference between dark and light, because many times the dark poses as light.
Yeah, that's pretty much
right?
what it does.
And they bastardize the light to make them look evil, sort of like the whole Satan Lucifer thing.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's
Satan
another
Lucifer.
That's another subject
it
that
is.
we'll get to in
the
this
Luciferian teachings. They make it so evil and so bad.
Right.
They want people to stay away from anything that's going to illuminate them.
Right. So let's talk about discerning light from dark.
That's a very tough one. It's hard sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between dark and light. It really truly is. And some of the key components to really separate the differences on the frequency is darkness consumes, divides, controls. Light is freely giving with love, boundaries, but acceptance. It's a love all, serve all is true light.
And I think darkness can also come across as having a lot of shiny objects too. There's a lot of wealth in the so-called Illuminati, whereas the true Illuminati don't come from wealth or don't have wealth necessarily.
Not all the families, right? It's a strange dichotomy of the way certain families. How do I say families? Because we have our little lighthouse, right? The Vril thing. But there's other families out there and other houses. Not all of them have wealth. And, the material plane, this plane, was a place to learn, love, and grow. And for humans to evolve into things that only people talk about. Light's fantastic. But the evidence clearly states that we're not at that stage right now.
Because of greed. I mean, greed really is at the helm of this earth plane. And anytime there's greed, there's going to be division. There's going to be poverty. And there's going to be suffering.
Which is the evidence of those that are in control. You look at the evidence of their world. So if a being flies down here, they can clearly tell by the division and the suffering on frequencies that the management is not really for the greater good of evolution. They either, are purposely doing that, or they just don't know how.
Let's talk about the New World Order, because that is something that many people, in the conspiracies, of course, that it is evil. It's about world domination, and it will lead to the utter destruction of the human race. So
this is a time-old battle, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the Illuminati really came into existence in the positive. And, shedding light to help bring people together. So you can look at a new world order with all the garbly-goo and the false lies that they add onto it to create fear and all this other weird frequencies. But the origin of a new world order or a new thinking was more aligned with utopia, more aligned with, and it's not a communism or capitalism. People get confused. All isms are bad.
Right.
But the Illuminati first wanted to help humanity to evolve and live in a frequency that still has struggle, because you learn from struggle, but denote it to the level where you visit the struggle, you move on, you learn, you love, you grow. Down here, it seems to be that there's pockets of frequency where the struggle never changes. No matter what, it just never changes. As a matter of fact, it degrades and gets worse. And that's the frequency. So the true Illuminati was to bring in teachings and understandings and technologies to help usher in a world that was more based in empathy and kindness worldwide. That's why they started with a one world order, was to unite everyone, all religions, all races, all countries,
yes.
and have it be more on an empathic thing, and help with technology.
Yep.
And
kind of like taking down borders eventually, so that we can freely visit one another from one culture to the next, and celebrate diversity, celebrate different cultures that you don't understand, their foods, their music, whatever the case may be. And that really helps to bring people together too, because there's so much fear from one country to the next, and that border that separates the two really is part of division as well. I know that can't happen right away, but that is a goal for the New World Order, and it really will help humanity evolve as one species.
With a sense of individuality and collectiveness, so that, like when you're looking at another person, you're looking at an aspect of self. In all cases, all races, all creeds, everything. It's another mirror image of you. And these teachings that were given were, again, there's been wars here for hundreds and hundreds of years. Templars fought against the Catholics. There was lots of wars with Cathars, and again, real true illuminists trying to put forward and relieve people from Satan's grip.
But they lost time. The true Illuminati lost time and time and time again. However, that phase is over, because we've entered the new world, and now it is time for the Illuminati to rise again. It's the true Illuminati,
right?
The children of light,
right?
The Son of God is returning, and so is the Goddess. And that brings in truth, that brings light. That should bring in a lot of hope for people too.
It does. And the children of light that are incarnating on the planet, it's all forewritten and foretold. And some of the dark illuminists know this, because they've, in their wars and in these times, they've confiscated, again, documents. So whenever there's a victor at the war, why were the Templars burned at a cross when they were getting into the banking and trying to help change it from the monetary system out, and they lost that war at that time. But those documents that are kept from the secrets are confiscated always by the victor of war. So they can rewrite history and bastardize what's right and make it so that it's wrong for control purposes.
I mean, the thing is, there's always going to be dark and light.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we live in a land of duality.
Mm-hmm.
So the existence of that false or mimic Illuminati will stick around.
Always. It's
you know, they're
not going to go
away.
anywhere.
So
they're a family.
That's right.
They have a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, and, you know, so that's what it is. How do we work like this within the families as opposed to attacking or going up against? It's all about balancing dark and light and creating a frequency. And they know this. So there comes a time where now the frequencies have to shift more towards balance and light. And that's why the children of light are here. And that's why if you look from 30-year-olds under, their consciousness doesn't even go to the old world, not even a nanosecond.
Right.
They're not playing with racism. They're not playing with poverty. They're not playing with all this stuff that the illuminists have been trying to shed light on the whole time.
Right. And I know there's a lot of people on YouTube that are talking about the Illuminati has been arrested.
Oh, God.
You know, they've been killed or they're at Guantanamo.
The lies.
So,
yeah.
you know, it is a lie. You know, these people who have been in power, they're too powerful to be taken down.
Oh, my God. And put into a Gitmo? I mean, give me a break. You know, and then they put in Hollywood stars, and this person is a clone, and this person is in Gitmo and prison. It's just like...
Well, I think people are always looking for someone to blame. And truly, you can't blame anyone except yourself. You know, it's everybody's responsibility to do something for the collective.
Right.
You know, and I think being neutral, not taking a side, you're going to have more discernment to see dark and light. You'll be able to see the difference much more clearly.
Right.
You know?
And they should block out the rhetoric. Like, look for evidence. Just because, you know, hearsay has killed and murdered a lot of people along the lands. Just hearsay. That's not evidence. That has nothing. And I noticed that most of the stuff in the conspiracy land is old Babylonian language, broken down and compartmentalized. And in the reality, they attach all that negative, I don't know why they even do it, to get people to think that someone's going to save them, like some white hats or some whatever. These families are powerful. And there are 13 different houses. So it's not a bunch of white hats are going to go in and arrest everyone and make it a nice day for the rest of the people. That's not happening. You know, it's way different than that. You couldn't take down their house even if you tried. The point is you have to transmute the frequency and make it on a harmonious level. So that, again, you're not going to take away suffering ever fully, because you have the sun and the moon, you have the polarities, the inner earth, you have the frequencies that are obviously duality. And because of that, there's always going to be certain individuals that feel, whether it's their birthright or not, and I'm not going to debate them, but that they have the right to be in the position they are over humanity.
So by not subscribing to the rhetoric or the narratives, you're taking your power back. And by doing that, you're denoting the power of those who've had control for so long. So really, we need to unify and become empowered ourselves, and not be so quick to blame, and not be so quick to judge, and not be so quick to latch on to some of these other narratives that are talking about, you know, people being taken down, like you're saying, in the Illuminati, or it really is a bunch of crap. They're not in jail. They're not at Gitmo.
No. And you know, some of these families, you know, without saying names of who's who, but some of the stuff that we've heard that is evil around certain names is actually not true. So again, even some of the characters or the situations that they say are the evil ones, you know, unless somebody really has evidence of something and they don't know the person, if you haven't broken bread with the families or with the said individual, not saying there's not dark ones, but if you haven't broken bread and really spent time understanding, then you really have no basis to really speak, because You don't know. You're knowing because of a conspiracy guy that wrote a book is telling you that there were Dulce wars, or there were, there's going to Mars and they're building colonies, which is utter crap in so many ways.
So it goes back to the merger of science and spirituality, to always look for evidence of the words that are spoken, right? Follow the money for some of these people, because a lot of these people are making lots of money on their lies.
Right.
And they're bilking you.
Right.
So, really
they call them
think
grifters.
about that. They are grifters.
They just tell a story and they capitalize on it. And you can always tell too, because like sometimes on their websites it's like, well, it's going to cost you this, and there's no refunds, and there's, and you can't come at me. And what is all this? If you have really good messages, like our empath program, it's free. Yeah, we have a little manual that we put out. We don't make any money off that thing, really. If you talk about a couple of bucks being money, right? But our mission is to get it out there and get it in people's hands, because it's coming from a place that is not readily, the information that we're giving is kind of been coveted for a long time, and working with scientists and real societies and different families that are out there. But, with that said, people say, well, you have all this stuff. How come you can't, make this happen, right? But we're in a third dimensional construct, and we're bringing in information in ways from a higher construct, a different dimension.
Right.
So, and in this dimension, they don't deal in money. They've outgrown money long ago. And when you bring something from a higher dimension into a lower dimension that is a material plane that has to deal with money, it's very hard to communicate, even though you have all the evidence and the facts. It's very hard to get the right steward, the right mentality that fully understands and wants to help humanity. It's very, very, very. We've been more disappointed in our meetings with certain people, that some have wealth, some have this or that, but that's why we want to share some of our teachings, because once you have a well-rounded metaphysical understanding of know thyself, you would do differently.
You will, and you can reach illumination. And that's the goal, at least to be striving towards it, which means that you're striving towards being a beacon of light for other people. So the more people that we can reach with this message, with the desire to reach illumination, which is love all, serve all, the better off we'll be. And so we're trying to grow this community of light workers so that we can spread light, and as a collective be the Illuminati that is really, truly, should be in power.
Which is evidence-based, faith-based evidence,
yes.
Which is everything that we do.
Which is the merger of science and spirituality.
Science and spirituality.
Yes.
That's the way to evolution.
Yep.
People talk about a type, you hear in the UFO community and other communities, type 1 civilization. Meanwhile, they're waiting for some Pleiadian to do something. But the point is, because we've dealt with them too, and we deal with them.
Sure.
But it's not what it doesn't have, it's complete, almost opposite of what you hear with these beings, right?
Right. Because they know that before there's any ascension, before there's any 5D reality, we have to fix the third dimension. And we have to, everybody should have access to food, shelter, and clothing, right? And that's what the true Illuminati wants. That's what the true guardians of light want too.
Yeah, you hear about these guardians of light and these talks of we're going to bring you med beds and all this other stuff. And we know some of these individuals on the inside, like we deal with them. And it's almost like when you hear what's going on out there, it's like, wow, they're so far gone. There's nobody coming here to save you. It's really important that they can assist, If they give technologies, well, there's the assist. They can't do
Right.
it for you.
Right. It's not a given.
No.
It's really up to humans to make that decision for themselves.
It is. Look at Tesla,
Yeah.
who also had contact.
Yeah.
And because of that contact, he had the evidence of the contact, which was technology. That's how you know that you're really dealing with somebody that is connected. And he didn't go around toting that. But look what happened. He died penniless.
Right.
And they confiscated
Sure.
his things.
Yep.
And that's only because he was going at it alone. He wasn't born into a house. He wasn't involved with societies that could help him. So he was kind of out there with his contact, but not a lot of,
Well, at that time, the stars were not aligned for his success. Right? But now the stars are aligned for success with advanced technology and raising consciousness to help humans evolve.
Yeah.
Right? Because of where we are. We're past 2012.
Yeah.
The new earth is here, so
It
get
is.
ready.
Yeah.
Get ready. But get yourself ready, right? In your own body, mind, and spirit to be looking for evidence of the things that you're hearing and to have more of a love all, serve all mentality.
That's key. If you can change your own frequency, the young kids, we don't need to change them because the children of light are coming down here in droves. Most of the kids under 30, but the ones that are over that, that have had a lot of conditioning and have had a lot of exposure to the darker conditionings. By changing your own frequency, that's all you need to do. And it's nothing wrong with listening to stuff on these various communities, right? But be very hesitant just to say, oh, I believe this.
Right.
This person went to Mars and fought aliens. I mean,
just because they're talking spirituality and metaphysics doesn't mean that what they're saying is true. So always use discernment and recognize the difference between dark and light. Again, evidence.
Evidence. And here's a little bit of $1 million question. If these people are traveling in space-time and going to the upper heavens in a craft, before you could do that, you'd have to modify the body. You'd have to really change frequencies, not just in your consciousness, but in your physical cell, on a cellular level.
And that happens when you reach 5D, but we're so far from the 5th dimension. We haven't even gotten to the 4th yet.
That's right.
So, we shouldn't even talk about... Actually, let's talk about that in our next episode.
All right. How, with the space travel.
We'll talk about the dimensions and ascension and space travel and the whole human body upgrade.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
So, for now, thanks again for joining us. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. We're so glad that you joined us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having a conversation with us.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.